Veeam recently hosted customers and analysts at VeeamON, announcing a shift in their enterprise strategy. The data protection company is modifying their product strategy to focus more on cyber resiliency and incident response following the acquisition of Coveware. As they're embracing this new enterprise IT world following Broadcom's acquisition of VMware and the announcement of Copilot PCs, I suspect that we're going to see more and more from Veeam heading in different directions. You attended this conference, so what's your take on the new Veeam?
I did, Stephen, and you paint a great picture here. I've been tracking Veeam and attending VeeamON for several years now, and I think they still, in some ways, kind of have a perception of being kind of the VM backup company. Of course, that's kind of where Veeam got its start, but certainly they have broadened their approach in terms of not only the workloads they support, but as you mentioned, Stephen, their really kind of their product capabilities and their focus these days, which again, as you mentioned, Stephen, is all around cyber resiliency these days. And they actually made an acquisition soon before the show. It was at the end of April, of a company called Coveware in the incident response side. So really my big takeaways from the show was that it really was kind of a demonstration of how Veeam is putting all of these capabilities in place to be able to, do things like help customers to be more proactive and preventative when it comes to their cyber attacks, to detect attacks sooner. And then again, now that they have this Clover acquisition, also to help sort of on the incident response side. So it's certainly no longer just about, kind of backing up your data and having it to be able to be recovered. And you referenced a couple of other topics, Stephen, as well. One is, of course, the industry as a whole. We're sort of working through the acquisition of VMware by Broadcom. For Veeam, that does have particular significance because Veeam's customer base is still very, quite heavily VMware centric. So Veeam did make sure to kind of showcase it describes its kind of proprietary data format that's, very flexible and really can be kind of allow data to be migrated from one infrastructure to another, whether that be on-prem to cloud, whether it be from one hypervisor to another. So really it was kind of an opportunity for VMware to showcase how it's helping customers to, or how it will help customers to kind of navigate this transition. And whether it be a workload that they might want to move off of VMware, whether it be they want to, sort of test out how it might work to deploy a particular workload on an alternate hypervisor, for example. Certainly that was something that they took the time to showcase. And then finally, as well, you referenced Microsoft and Copilot Plus. So Veeam has invested with Microsoft to develop sort of its own iteration of Copilot for things like threat detection, diagnostics, and really sort of being, kind of that assistant for, primarily in this case for your backup administrator. So for example, not only to be able to identify if there is a SharePoint site that has, a high degree of change rate that might indicate malicious activity, but then to be able to kind of immediately trigger an action such as a backup and then kind of the recovery operation, or also to be able to sort of look across the Veeam environment and say, okay, I've identified that these users are not protected. And here's a suggested policy for protection that I would suggest applying based on, the different parameters that are overseen by, the backup administrator. So really, Stephen, again, I would say at the show, we kind of touched on, again, artificial intelligence, cyber resiliency, and also, again, kind of the VMware kind of Broadcom acquisition. So it was, again, really just a great display of how all of those capabilities are coming together.